Okay, so I was on a camping trip a while back, early spring, just me and a buddy. We were both bundled up in heavy winter coats, puffer jackets, a few miles down the trail. I noticed I was carrying most of the supplies. This is because my friend has something called a familial tremor, a neurological thing. So I see his hands shaking, and I think maybe he can't carry as much as I can. But to be honest, I wasn't thinking about that at all. I was always trained to carry my own weight. That's a point of pride that I've been conditioned to be in. So I don't ask, I just endure. So it'll make me stronger too. That's the light at the end of the tunnel. My muscles ache, but they'll get bigger if I'm carrying all of what I packed all by myself. But at one point I stopped and I asked him, I'm handing him one of the bags and I'm saying, "Can you carry this too?" And it actually surprised me. I was not expecting the wave of emotion that hit when he just took the bag with nothing to say. And then my brain went medical, like, oh wow, when you have a nervous condition, like tremors, it doesn't always affect the muscles, right? Like he could have carried that the whole time. My delegation skills weren't as strong as they should have been. And what threw me, I think, was that I've seen him write in a notebook, like his handwriting, and it's really scribbly. And I've said, if you ever want somebody to translate your notebook into typing, I can do that because I love writing. I love reading your notebook. I love reading your writing. It's like illegible. That's how bad this tremor is. Anyway, that's beside the point. So he's carrying the bag for me. We're going to the campsite. And basically, we're a unit now. Just that simple act of handing him the bag is like, we're together in the woods. We're gonna put these bags down, and we're gonna, like, build ourselves a little kingdom of two. So that night by the fire, we both get going together after some struggle. We're not real outdoorsy people, but we get it done. We get a fire going, we get the tent up. Normally, what we do is stay inside for the night. We talk about the esoteric, the tarot, the occult. He's one of my witchy boys. Okay? So let's go into this. The tarot, if you don't know, it's a deck of cards. Folks use it for divination. You draw a card and you look at the archetype of that card and you apply it to whatever question you asked. It was originally based on the playing cards deck. It's a 72 card deck, just the exact same as the playing cards. Every suit has face cards or court cards, and all the numbers 1 through, 1 through 9? 1 through 10? I'm just a messenger. I don't really fully know. But that's the tarot. So he actually brought a deck that I was really interested in, the Aleister Crowley Thoth deck, which is really expensive and rare to own. And so I was thrilled just by the rarity of this object. I looked at the artwork, it's beautiful. But then as he started pulling out the face cards, the court cards, I absolutely got offended, and here's why. So, I am most familiar with the Rider-Waite tarot, and this is how the face cards go. There's only 4 of them, so bear with me. The King, it's the ultimate authority. The Queen, it's the second hand. You know, some folks think of her as the nurturer or the internal, intimate empathy. But I always thought of her as, well, if the king is the public-facing ruler, the queen is just everything beyond that. It's the left-hand path. It's the hidden ruler, the one who has the freedom because she isn't in the public face. And she has the freedom to rule the kingdom from kind of more social, yeah, empathetic, possibly, means, but just a secondary ruler. So, king, queen. Knight is the third one. He's the active, right? The main thing is he's active, but you know that a warrior can be a fighter or a defender. And that's a big thing. You can't just think of a knight as a fighter. He's also a defender. And then the Rider-Waite has the page as the 4th one, which I absolutely love. As a lover of media, you gotta love the page, because the page is kind of like the journalist of the tarot. They are all about new ideas. They're kind of like the initiate to this little hierarchy. So they spend their time running around delivering the messages of the king and the queen and the knight. Maybe it's in hopes to one day become a queen or king or knight, or we don't know. Maybe it's just for the love of the game. Okay, but what I got offended was this new deck that I was shown. This deck that is probably made, 100 years, 200 years after the Rider-Waite, Crowley. He decided to flip the archetypes and kill the king. So he puts the knight into the king's spots, which is very active and very fighting, right? And then it goes queen, and then it goes prince and princess. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm a feminist, so I immediately balked at this, like a freaking horse with its bit on too tight. I was like, nah. Okay, so we added regressive gender stereotypes. Yeah. Okay, but that's not what this video is about. This is really about the replacement of the king for the knight. So, Crowley wanted to kill the king. But if he did this, he just turned it into another profession. Somebody who fights. But I was thinking, okay, well, who in this deck gives the order to fight? Like, seriously, you're gonna give that up to, I don't know, the star or the sun or something? Like, each suit, so in the deck of cards, in the deck of playing cards, you have 4 suits. And in the tarot, that correlates to the 4 elements. And to me, giving each element a king really balances this whole thing out. But if you don't have a king, like, where is the one giving the orders? Like, the knight can't be really at the top of the hierarchy for me. And I'm going to explain why. And I asked my friend this. I was like, what's up with this? Why is there a knight? And he just, like, smiles like that, like a little child. And he's like, well, Crowley killed the king. Well, okay, so he was treating the king as if it were like a tyrant. In which case, I would agree. We killed the tyrant. No, we don't need a tyrant, right? We don't need a fascist leader. But he was treating the king as if it were only a tyrant. Okay? What if it's a necessary role, like logistics, like planning? And mostly, delegation, that big picture view, where that you have the ability to assess everyone from some sort of perspective, figure out what role is best for everyone, what suits their strengths best, what they want to do. And then you tell them, like, this in my kingdom is what you would be suited for, and this is why I would like you here. Please accept this role. And maybe this is because I'm a fan of simulation games like The Sims or Zoo Tycoon. That overhead view, and you're clicking and controlling everyone's needs from food to bladder. Like, you take care. And that's what I see the king as, this delegatory archetype. Which is a pretty funny thing, as I consider myself somewhat of an anarchist. But yet I enjoy that archetype of control. So we got home from the camping trip, packed up all of our tent, leave no trace. Hey, don't leave your soda cans in the fire pit. Don't leave your nutshells all around. Make sure you pee at least 20 feet from your fire pit. I guess for some reason that makes a difference. I don't really know why. To be honest, sometimes I have peed 5 feet outside of my camp tent, I will admit. Okay. Back to the video. So isn't this a good trick for modern power? Like modern CEOs or the corporate state. They will, especially modern startups and Silicon Valley is where I hear this. Flat hierarchy, agile teams, no silos. They will tell you the hierarchy is inherently oppressive, yet they still believe in having a CEO at the top, right? And I realized a true tyrant doesn't actually want a hierarchy, they want a cult. If you have a functioning hierarchy, you have a chain of command that you can bring your complaint to. And that next one feels that they have the authority to really stand up for the person that put them in that position. And they really do, represent those below them. Versus when you have a cult driven by an ideology, really, I'm sure there's some sort of hierarchy, I'm sure there's some fake whatever, but really what the leader says goes. And your role is really just to take orders. Your role isn't to bring anything new to the table. Your role is to take orders. Which is what a knight does. But that's not what a king does. And so just to recap, in the Rider-Waite tarot, the top of the deck is the king. But in the Crowley tarot, the top of the deck is the knight. And this somehow dismantles hierarchy in a good way. This does not compute to me. Because if you flatten the structure, and if you convince everyone that king is a dirty word, then everyone is just this overworked farmer, knight, innkeeper, planner, ledger keeper of their own internal world. So everyone's doing everything. And when you're doing everything, you're too exhausted to resist the person at the top. And who really does that person at the top feel like at that point? At that point, I think it feels like fascism. And fascists are opposed to things like councils or employee ownership, where the labor holds the power. Okay, don't get too scared off. The labor never held the power through anarchy. The labor held the power through, you could argue, a council is a type of hierarchy. There is a method in which you get into the council and an agreed upon expected role that you take within the council, like a treasurer or a secretary or a recorder. Different things like this. So when we refuse to delegate in our own lives, when I refuse to ask my friend to carry my pack, I'm not being a sovereign. Think of what I was thinking of. I was thinking my muscles will get bigger. I can do this, you know. It hurts, but my muscles will be stronger. I will forever be stronger than my friend if I carry this. Is that because I'm scared of relying on someone? So let's talk about delegation. Delegation is not tyranny. Delegation is really being a king and trusting in your own counsel. It's a radical form of trust. How can we build together against tyrannical states if we don't form connections based on these simple physical delegations? I'm not talking about finding folks that agree with you on every single political point. I'm not talking about finding folks that like the same TV shows that you do. No. I'm talking about finding someone that will carry your pack for you if you ask them. No questions asked. If they have the capacity to. If they have a broken arm, don't ask them to carry your pack. That's not good delegation. That's not something a king would do. And a lot of times we are so busy looking at our own life and what we all need to do. We need to cook, we need to clean, we need to buy that gift for that 11-year-old kid that we know. But what we should really be thinking about is, who's the best cook in my life? Could I text them for a recipe that's quick and easy and nutritious? Which of my friends actually likes to clean? My house is dirty AF. Would they be able to come over? Do they need more hours on their paycheck? Well, hell, I can give them an extra $20-$40 to just come over and clean my apartment. You know, I need that. I've been working 40-60 hour shifts. And they love to clean. What is the problem here? And then the birthday gift. Like, I don't know anybody with teenagers. Wouldn't it be weird to text a friend I know who has kids their age and ask them what they're into? No. I'm like, I don't think that would be weird. Just text them like, I don't know what to get for a gift. Can you help me? What do those kids, what are they into? I don't want to give them something that I was into when I was 11. I want to know what this generation's into. You know? And it's seen as reaching out for help, right? Which feels so subservient. But really, it's delegation, isn't it? It's a king. That's stepping into your kingship. And this is how we build groups that can stand up to a state that we all, let's face it, I don't care if you're a cleaner or your cook or your mother are different political alignments than you, if they voted different from you, we all agree that we have a state right now that is overreaching. And there's no way to fight this other than to get together and figure it out together. So next time you're on a camping trip and you feel like maybe your muscles are hurting, but you would rather be strong and make big muscles just for the show of it, maybe ask your friend to carry the pack. Maybe step back and realize maybe you wanted to be strong. And in your wanting to be strong, you are also affecting your friend in that they won't be as strong. And if they're a friend, you want them to be strong too. You want them to carry your pack because you're a team. You're friends. You're a little kingdom. And a kingdom needs a king to delegate. And sometimes people won't step up. Friends won't step up. Friends need a friend group leader, a king, which is not a fighter. Because in the modern world, media, the fighter is so attached to this solo archetype. Like in a zombie movie, a fighter like really fights for himself with a spear or a machete or whatever. But let's become kind of like fighter kings that can collaborate, right? So stop. Stop trying to be the knight instead of the king. Stop fighting and defending. Stop being the prince that waits for an inheritance. The princess. Because of this, because of what I was born into, I can't possibly do this. I'm too weak. I'm too emotional. No. That was never part of the original tarot. We need to be kings. Yeah. We need to delegate. We need to create roles for our friends. And that's not tyranny. Let's build a kingdom that can survive the woods. Awoo!